Hi, this is Bethany with Morgan James Publishing, and today I'm speaking with our author, Christy Neal. And Christy is the author of Don't Ever Tell, a message of hope, healing, and redemption after adultery. Hi, Christy. Thank you so
Hi,
much for being
Bethany.
here with me. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. So honored.
Well, we are so excited to have a conversation today with you about your new book. And I'd love to ask you some questions about what inspired you to write it and some of the message that you share in the book. So,
Sure.
the first question I'd love to ask is really what did inspire you to write Don't Ever Tell?
Absolutely. It was not my idea. I will first say that. I was actually on my knees in my daughter's bedroom, kneeled beside her bed, wailing and crying out to God for help. So I was in our new every other weekend rotation. I had been newly divorced after almost 10 years of marriage. My daughter was roughly 4.5 at the time. And I had found myself that I had lost everything after having an affair with a man at my church. And so, after coming out with the truth, I quickly found out that my church didn't have a plan for me. And we found ourselves just drowning. And because we couldn't find help, we ended up divorced. And I just had so much guilt and so much shame. And I knew it was all my fault because of my own poor choices. And so, literally, Bethany, I'm wailing beside her bed. I'm kneeled down. It's just like it's yesterday in my mind. This was probably 13 years ago. And I'm crying out to God for a woman. And I was like, God, please, please just send me a woman. I get emotional still when I talk about it. I have, I have thrown away everything you blessed me with. I've lost my family, lost my marriage, lost my job as a stay at home mom. Help me. I need a woman that's been where I've been and done what I've done. And I need her to have this tremendous bounce back story. And I need her to sit across from me, look me in the eyes, and tell me I'm going to be okay. And I was literally crying out, just sobbing. And for the first time in my life, I heard like a gentle whisper to my spirit, and it said to me, "You are her." And I knew it was God. And I got so mad. I remember yelling, "No! Like, are you kidding me? No, I'm not her. I'm divorced. I'm in the South. I had an affair at church. Like, no one's going to listen to me. I'm a hot mess here. Like, no." And so he kept whispering it to me. I am, you are her. You are her. And so, Bethany, then I had no idea and did not understand what he was telling me or why he was telling me that. But here I sit today. I'm now an author, a speaker, a podcast host, and I am truly the voice of hope, healing, and redemption that I needed in my own life but couldn't find for other women that have been affected by adultery. And it's just, in my eyes, the coolest thing. God is awesome.
Wow, wow, what a journey, and what an incredible story to, have gone through those experiences yourself, and then be willing to listen to that call and then to actually do it, because I know that takes a lot of courage and vulnerability, to go through that process of, even just healing for yourself, but then being willing to really dive deeper into that topic to be that voice for other people,
Yes.
who are going through similar situations. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had lots of conversations with women that are, going through that, the healing process, or they find themselves in a situation that, they weren't expecting, or, they've made some choices that are not healthy for their marriage. So what would you
Yeah.
say that the most frequently asked question or situation that you receive from women, is that have been in that same situation?
Absolutely. The number one question that I get from women who have committed infidelity is, when will I like myself again? So it's more like, will I ever like myself again? And if so, when? So for me, it took 7 years. Honestly, it took 7 years for me to truly forgive myself and truly have like a genuine laugh, that wasn't overshadowed by this cloud of shame and guilt. But when I mentor women now, because they're able to have someone that's been there talking into their life, speaking life to them, it's like a year and a half, 2 years. It's amazing. And I always want to say that no one wakes up one day and says, I think I'll have an affair today and ruin my marriage and ruin my family. And I think it's very important to state that, because we are all just humans, doing the best that we can do. And life gets confusing, and it truly is a slow fade, and before you know it, you are taking part in some bad habits that leave you susceptible to making poor choices that lead to an affair. And so I always like to speak to, it's so important that because adultery is like cancer. We all know someone in our circle that has been affected by it if we ourselves have not been affected by it. But unlike cancer, people aren't out, you know, fundraising for a cure and talking about it. It's really a hush hush topic. It really hits home. People get they take their own experience from being affected by adultery and perceive it, and put all of these feelings when they hear about a couple that's experiencing this. So I also work with people, and how I've worked with women that have been cheated on, and I've worked with women that cheat, obviously. But the big thing is to not shut those people out of your circle. I don't think that loving someone through their sin, that doesn't mean you approve of their sin. We as Christians can be really bad about that. Well, I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you. But if you don't start healing on my timeline that I think that you should heal on, then I'm going to withhold love because I don't approve of what you're doing. And, Jesus never did that. And so the whole basis of Don't Ever Tell is not only me sharing my journey, really from shame to shine, like how I got through it, how I was treated, but also the people that spoke life over me. And there was only a handful, but it meant so much to me. And those people were God to me. It gave me hope. Oh, well, they believe in me, or they got mad at me, so they expect more out of me. It's those little things. And so even for people listening, maybe they know someone in their life that's walking through this. It's important to love the sinner, hate the sin.
Mm.
And those are the people, the friends that can do that will change their heart and then change their life, possibly save that family, which then affects generations. And that's what the book is about, first family first. And you can literally change generations through God's love and forgiveness and grace. So,
Wow. So, I mean, you've got so much wisdom to share, but what would you share with somebody who really feels tainted by, after a life altering failure?
yes. I can remember after my affair, it was the first time in my life, Bethany, that I started hearing the world would be better off without me.
Mm.
I might as well just end it now. My daughter would be better off without me. My in-laws, that I really lost that extension of my family that I adored and respected, still to this day miss them. And I think for me, being raised in the church, I knew better, and that haunted me
Mhm.
because I constantly beat myself up. I knew better. And I never said, why me? I knew why me. I brought all of that into my life. No one made me sleep with that man, you know, and I always kept myself in check, and I accepted what I did. I took ownership of where I was. And that was the biggest help for me. But for me, the 7 years is because I felt so tainted, like you said. And I felt like, who's going to love me now? And does God love me now? Like, I know God forgives, but does he really forgive people that chose it for themselves? I had made my mess. And so what's wonderful is I can look back on my 15-year journey now and tell people, absolutely, God loves you. Absolutely, he forgives you. And here's the biggest thing. God is not surprised by our sin. I was surprised. I was like, oh my, I cannot believe I did this. When I got out of the fog, and now that I even talk about it, when I'm talking to you about it, I'm like, I cannot believe I did that. Like, I had an affair with another married man at my church. Like, that's just terrible. It's a horrible thing to hear come out of your own mouth. But the cool thing is, I have complete freedom because I finally get it. Oh, I get it. Okay. This is why Jesus died for me. He knew all along what I was going to do, which is crazy to me. So God isn't surprised by our circumstance or our sin or our choices. And I believe it's Romans 5:8 speaks to this. While I was still a sinner, Christ died for me. So while I'm still, wallowing in having my cake and eating it too, so to speak, while I'm in the middle of that affair, Christ died for me. Not now that I'm, repented and doing everything by the book. So I really think the underlying message of Don't Ever Tell is there is absolutely flourishing after huge personal failure, even when the failure is yours.
Mm.
And you plug in your failure. It could be addiction, it could be drinking, it could be shoplifting, it could be gossiping. I mean, I was hurt so tremendously by gossip, and I never knew how gut wrenching and heartbreaking that could be. But now I understand gossip is just as bad as sin as adultery. There is no, sin measurement.
Mm.
We do that as humans, but in God's eyes, sin hurts his sons and daughters. My adultery hurt his children. When others spoke about ill of me, it hurt me, and it also hurt my children. And that's another thing. Before you speak, always remember the people that you speak about have family, they have children. It affects them, and therefore it affects how they parent, how they spouse, how they work. And our words are the most powerful. Our tongue is the most powerful, muscle in the body. The Bible speaks to that. And I'm big about teaching people how to speak life over themselves. That's really how I was able to heal. I had to learn to motivate and speak life over myself because everybody was running away from me. Nobody wanted to be Christy Neal's friend. And so now I teach people how to do that and in a much quicker way. And so if there's people out there feeling tainted, you name your sin, we all have them. We're all sinners, Romans 3:23. And it's just accepting it, owning it, knowing, oh, this is why I need Jesus in my life. Okay, I get it. And knowing that he has a plan. God had a plan for me. And really for me, it was just saying, okay, because he kept nudging me, Bethany, to write the book. And I was like, what? How am I going to write a book? I didn't know how to write a book. I was like, who's going to read this thing? Are you kidding? And he kept nudging, kept nagging, it drove me crazy. And finally, one day, I'll be honest, I remember I was in my little house, little 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I was walking down the hallway. I kept hearing it, write your book, write your book. I like dropped my laundry basket and I was like, fine, I will write your bleeping book. And I cussed. I was like, fine. And I was like, I'll prove to you, no one is going to read this dumb thing. And so I started writing a single mom, you don't have much time. So once I got her to bed, got the dishes done, got everything cleaned up, laundry, I'd sit down from 10 to midnight every night. That's the only time I had to write. It took me 4 years. And, here we are. I mean, it happened, and God knows. I've never won an argument yet with him, even though I said, but there's, abundant flourish after failure, even when you choose it and you cause it.
Mm, mm. Wow. What a journey, and what a process of answering that call to share your story and your message in the form of a book. And we're so proud of you in this book, and
Oh, thank
so
you.
excited for readers to be able to get their hands on copies of it, especially those who may be, really, really struggling on this, or feeling really isolated, or um,
Yeah.
they're dealing with that shame, or that, maybe they haven't even accepted where they're at in their journey. And this
Yeah.
book could really be that voice, or that guiding light through their journey of healing, and facing their situation. So, Christy, thank you so much for spending some time today talking with me about your journey and about the book. And if people want to learn more about you or connect with you online, what's the best way for them to do that?
Sure. The best way is to go to my website. It's called choose.different.org. So I founded Choose Different in 2016. So that's my ministry. And we're also on Instagram, Facebook. So it's Instagram, at Choose Different. And then Facebook is at Choose Different Ministries. But I do a Tuesday video once a week because I'm always fishing for women. I'm a, a fisher of women instead of a fisher of men. Because people don't go around with banners on their head saying I'm an affair, help me. It's a very hush hush brown bag situation. And so I do those videos to just be openly talking about adultery and infidelity. They're not always about that every week, but that's a good way for people to kind of get to know me and build a little trust. You have to really trust someone. But to connect with me, you can go to my website, and then it says contact Christy. There's a contact Christy page that will email me, or you can email me directly at Christy at choosedifferent.org. I'm always happy to connect, and I've talked with hundreds of women at this point. And the biggest thing, Bethany, is you are not alone.
Mm.
The devil always will tell you you're the only one, try to isolate you. And we've all been isolated enough in 2020. So I'm sure that's ramped up right now. But you are not alone. I've been there. I had a woman recently say, because she's been in my shoes and I've been mentoring her, she called me. She said, I started getting down about all my friends I've lost. And then I thought to myself, it doesn't matter if my one friend is Christy Neal. I've got a friend and I can go to church with her. I thought that was so sweet. It's the biggest compliment. So you always have a friend in me with zero judgment because I've been there.
Wow. Wow, Christy. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And congratulations on the launch of Don't Ever Tell.
Thank you.
And thank you again. Have a great day.
All right. You too. Thanks, Bethany.